Welcome back. You're watching The Globe. Now, as we continue to focus on women in the month of August, we look now at women who at times of war and conflict are often the most vulnerable. Along with children, they suffer immense loss, often being displaced, losing everything, including family, possessions, and even their dignity. In August 2020, South Africa adopted a National Action Plan, NAP, on Women, Peace and Security, WPS. This with a vision of attaining sustainable peace, security and equality for girls and gender non-conforming persons. Well, to tell us a little bit more about the WPS and how it can best be put into action, I'm now joined by the Executive Director of the Institute for Reconciliation and Justice, Professor Cheryl Hendricks. Professor, thanks very much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Pleasure to be here with you, Peter.
All right, so this action plan, this NAP, what informed this coming into being? What were you seeing on the ground that was of concern?
So this is part of a broader women, peace and security agenda that started already in the year 2000 when the UN Security Council adopted UN Security Council Resolution 1325, looking at what was happening to women in conflict situations, and then arguing that women should be participating in decision-making around peace processes, that there should be more protection for women in conflict situations, and prevention of violence against women, as well as more gender mainstreaming in relief and recovery efforts. South Africa was actually selected in the year 2009 to adopt a national action plan. So the UN calls on all countries to adopt national action plans to deal with the peace and security issues that women confront in their particular countries. And South Africa was selected in the year 2009 as a model country for the development of these national action plans. But it was really only in 2015 that we began to seriously sit down and get inputs for the National Action Plan. And women wanted our National Action Plan to speak about the challenges that they were facing internally, as well as our external missions. So you know that South Africa deploys women as peacekeepers. We actually have around 20% of our women deployed in the DRC as peacekeepers. And that South Africa also engages in mediation and conflict prevention on the continent. So we wanted to balance a focus on WPS that took account of the needs of women in other countries and our own internal needs. And I think that we developed quite a comprehensive plan. So it took us 11 years to develop this National Action Plan. As you mentioned, it was adopted by Cabinet in August 2000 and launched in 2001. And as you know, that was the midst of COVID, so there wasn't much we could do. But this year, we've started implementing it in earnest. Civil society organizations have come together to have various dialogues, to take a 50-page document, and I can show you, change it into a readable, user-friendly document that is available also in local languages. Really, what we're calling for is for government to implement some of the good legislation that we already have, for government to have more women, not only in the security sector, but also at the AU, at the UN, at SADC, and all of these peace and security architectures that we refer to. And then also to have the security sector institutions be more responsive to the needs of women. As you know, we have the highest numbers of women in the security sector, but we still have the highest levels of gender-based violence in this country. So how do we begin to deal with some of those issues? And this is what the plan then begins to address.
I believe you have quite a number of round tables where you hear directly from the women and they give you valuable feedback. In 2022, what are the issues for the women in general in South Africa?
Gender-based violence is one of the biggest issues for women, but women, as a consequence of that, they're facing trauma. Women are vulnerable in the homes, outside of the homes, and even to a certain extent in workplaces as well. So that comes through pretty strongly. Women's economic vulnerability, the emotional stress that women are also facing. In these dialogues, we've also heard from a number of very young women, ages 12 to 15, who have been experiencing violence as well. So this is coming through very strongly, but I think that women also have some of the solutions for what needs to happen. It's not always just about more security, increasing the number of police. It's about women peace builders having access to funding and resources in which they can then inculcate a culture of peace in their communities, have peace clubs. A lot of women are having dialogues, facilitating sort of exchanges. How can we change relationships in our communities? So it's those kinds of discussions that are happening.
All right, so I know we're going to talk about the youth just now, but perhaps finally, what kind of solutions then are bearing some fruit? I know this plan has only been in play for a while and a lot of fact-finding has been taking place, but what are the ones that are going to change the game and help women and girls and those non-conforming gender types?
I think it's amplifying what women already are doing. So women are doing a lot of the peace building work in their communities. They're often first responders to gender-based violence, for example. They're often taking care of the humanitarian needs. They're often at the forefront when xenophobic violence is taking place. They are there already. So we're hearing a lot, how do we amplify this kind of work? What can we do with 100,000 women peace builders as opposed to just 100,000 police or army people? We can do so much more to change the culture of violence in our societies. And it's that kind of discussion that is being held more than anything else.
All right, so let's talk about this new innovation, Youth Peace Awards. What are these and what are you trying to do?
So with the Youth Peace Award, we're actually going to launch it tomorrow. So the forms will be available tomorrow. It is to recognize the work that young women peace builders are doing. Can we identify some of this work? Can people nominate either young women or organizations that are led by young women who are engaged in fighting gangsterism, in combating xenophobia, homophobia, gender-based violence, crime, for example. So to give recognition to the work that has been done and to encourage other young women to also become peace builders in the society.
All right, so you say that the nominations close when, just to be clear?
So the nominations close on the 15th of September.
Yeah.
And if you go to the IJR's website, www.ijr.org.za, or to www.sanap-wps.org, you will see the nomination forms there. We have until the 15th of September to nominate somebody that you think has made a real change in the community. By youth, we are targeting those aged 18 to 35 years old.
All right, a lot of lessons being learned here in South Africa. Are we sharing this with other parts of the continent so that we get the whole continent on the same level of a sustainable peace and security for women and girls in particular?
There's an active peace-building community on the continent, so we often share our experiences through the African Union's Special Envoy's Office on Women, Peace and Security. Many events have taken place, and so yes, we are sharing those experiences.
All right, so Women's Month, it's coming to an end. Perhaps your final thoughts as we focus on women and this project in particular, because I've got to admit, it's not something we talk about too often, and perhaps something we should be talking about more often.
I think of it as a game changer. So do get a hold of the NAP, know the NAP, find something in there. There's something in there that everybody can implement. And we also say, Peter, we cannot have peace and security just for women. So through implementing this guiding document on how to create peace and security in our society, it's also creating peace and security for a broader South African community. So know the NAP, you know, absorb it, see what you can run with and really begin to implement it. And as I have indicated, let us harness the energies of women peace builders out there and assist in using it to transform our culture of violence in the society to one of peace and reconciliation.
Professor Hendricks, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very, very much indeed for joining us this evening. Thanks for your time, and we wish you strength with this great work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
That's Professor Cheryl Hendricks talking to us about women, peace, security, the NAP. Go out and get it. Inform yourself, absorb it, and let's see what we can do to make equality, peace and security a sustainable thing for all our girls and women across the country and the continent. Stay with us, you're watching The Globe.